Did you like that? Did you enjoy that? It's the last time you're ever gonna see me do that. Man, you wanna talk about heat when he came out, the music hit. And obviously, they did John Cena Sucks. They sung it like they usually do. Cena very stoic, no run to the ring, the same camera angle. We talked about same shirt, same music, same everything. They followed him, but he walked. Now, with that being said, the heel Cena, now this is just 2020 hindsight on the entrance. You know what I would have loved to have seen? The same entrance that he did against Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand. Hat down, don't see his eyes. He's looking down, he's pushing through. Like there's something about when he played a heel at One Night Stand on that entrance and he was stoic in that way. In this way, it's almost like John Cena had a puss on his face, meaning a frown, the entire time. Like it looked like he was trying to play bad guy rather than just being a stoic, all business, kind of like he was at the entrance in ECW One Night Stand. You know what I would have loved to have seen? And it's just hindsight once again and speculation. Music hits, he comes out, he does the same stuff he always does. Salute, runs to the ring, does everything. People are like, what? And kind of cheer, doing whatever. Grabs the microphone. He goes, did you like that? Did you enjoy that? It's the last time you're ever going to see me do that. Dude. Because, and then he goes into his promo.
I thought he was going to come out in a suit and be, you know, absolute corporate Cena. Different song, black suits, whatever he was.
I think that's going to happen. You know why? If he beats Cody, which I think you should go over on Cody at WrestleMania.
Do you? Now, a lot of people would disagree with you on that.
I do. Then you recall or you rehash the Austin corporate champion the next day but he doesn't tear it off and stun Vince or anything or hit him in the balls and take the Polaroid. That was pretty cool.
That was amazing.
With the disposable camera.
Amazing.
But if Cena does that and then becomes corporate Cena for the remainder of the summer, yeah, I would put Cena over.
There's various different things he says. I'm not a babyface or a heel. I'm a human being. Now, this goes into a wider thing to discuss, I guess, and this is professional wrestlers using wrestling rhetoric within the body of the show itself. Kind of like I can't remember the girl's name. No, I was gonna say, Triple H did do it.
You're talking,
in AEW.
Are you talking about the girl from Queen of the Ring?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing to say afterwards, but when you say it in the body of the show, I know she apparently shouldn't mean it that way, but do you know what I mean? Do you find that jarring still, or is it just becoming more accepted to say babyface, heel, going over that kind of thing on shows?
Well, there's a term throughout generations called inside baseball. And what this show is supposed to do in this storyline, this promo specifically, is supposed to communicate John Cena's point to everybody, that they can understand what he's saying. And that right there, you haven't explained on your show a wrestling 101 type of thing. What is a babyface? What is a heel? Now, if he said, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a white hat, I'm not a black hat, I don't fit into your stereotypes, I'm a human being. Same point, right? But with that, people will be like, well, wait a minute, back up a second. What's a babyface and a heel? Now they're ignoring the next four lines that are probably really important.
Each and every one of you. And I originally was like, oh, he went there. And then I thought, no, that's the perfect thing to say, because that is like Vince McMahon directive. That is, whoever, I think it was Stephanie McMahon, the McMahons who would say that all the time, each and every one of you, and then put the blame on the fans for why he turned bad guy and that kind of thing. But that line in particular really stood out to me.
You know what also stood out to me with that line? It's just a conspiracy that goes around once in a while that Vince still has something to do with this company. This is a Vince McMahon line. You're right. It's Stephanie writing it. It is a Vince McMahon line, not a Stephanie line. So with that being said, he says he complains about everyone or everybody booing him for years, although into the 2000s or 2010s, that tailed off massively in the last few years has been nothing but cheers. That's your notes. You're right. They sing along and he would say, "You can boo me, you can cheer me, you can say I suck. You're here and you're part of the whole WWE." He was being a cheerleader for all of it. So he didn't really address that and say, I've been a phony all this time. It's what he's doing is here's what he's doing. Whether he goes over WrestleMania or not, he's leaving the storyline and the arc open for the redemption. He's always been John Cena. Then something happens with The Rock. Then he finally gets the last however long to get that farewell tour as a babyface.
Is it going to be hard to pull back from this? To be a babyface again at the end of this run and then sort of get his, his approval rating, as you would say, or his merchandise sales back up to what they were pre-turn?
You know what's funny? The relation or the analogy, I should say, that really sets the precedent here is Roman Reigns. As a babyface, boo, 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 boo. He won the Rumble in Philly. Even with The Rock there, they booed him. They booed him. He turns into a dominant heel that becomes himself and shows another layer of his real personality. And what do the fans do? As a heel with an over 3-year heel championship run, the fans love him. This here is going to put an edge on Cena. He's going to be a heel, but he's going to become a babyface out of circumstance with more of an edge to him. And I think he's going to be more popular than ever towards the end.
How much heat do you think he'll get for covering up his bald spot?
Is he going to do that?
I think he should. And then, do you remember like Dude Love got like the dental flippers? When he became corporate Dude Love,
yeah.
Or something like that, or even earlier when Hulk Hogan just turned up on Nitro one day and had a wig on, never referenced it. He just had a full head of hair one day. It'd be great if just John Cena just turned up and he had like a Beatles wig, never referenced it, something like that.
Well, do you think the fans are going to chant that? I mean, they could have in Belgium, in Brussels, where they could have chanted anything they wanted at him, but I don't know. To me, too, the bald thing, let them run with that or whatever. But I'll tell you this, a babyface should never point that out. I was even against Austin Theory pointing that out, and then Cena just eviscerated him off of that. You don't want to lessen your opponent. In other words, lean into how many titles you won. Lean into how many people have believed in Cena, how many lives he might have saved by offering motivation and inspiration and all these different things. As a matter of fact, that's what's going to turn Cena babyface again. It's the old Superman kryptonite thing. The bad kryptonite makes Superman evil, but then Batman tries to get him to realize you're Clark Kent, you're a hero, snaps him out of it. I see it happening like that. But do not degrade Cena's impact as a performer. Do not talk down, because then when Cena beats you, guess what? Usually got beat by nobody.
Mm-hmm. Cody turns up, doesn't attack John Cena. Do you know what I was thinking of? It was 98, Mike Tyson, Steve Austin face off. And what made that segment so much better, there was like 20 other people in the ring all there to break it up. But this has very much been a trope in more modern wrestling, is that, these bitter rivals just go into a ring together or whatever it might be and just talk. They're not at each other, you're not clawing at each other to try and kill each other. Just Cody walks in, calls him a whiny little bitch, and leaves again.
Well, you have to set the table. He didn't just Cena just didn't turn heel, and Cody came out and kind of browbeat him and told him he's a phony or whatever, a whiny bitch. Dude, they literally beat him up at the end of Elimination Chamber, popped his eardrum, stretched him out, whipped him with a belt. Cena kicked him in the nuts. Cena was the biggest cheerleader. He hugs Cena, he kicks him in the nuts, and then they proceed to beat him up pretty much for real. And you're walking. You look like an idiot. That's okay with you, Cody? You're not jumping in the... Now, you came into Miz TV and you jumped Miz and gave him the crossroads, but not Cena? Do you see such a disconnect? You're right. The minute Cody was coming down, everybody should have filled that aisleway to prevent him getting into the ring, and Cena should have stood there and be like, come on. But you being held back, and maybe Cody kind of gets to him. He can get to him and Cena cheap shots him with the necklace, the brass knucks or something. This was bad. This was not good.
I mean, ultimately, Cena's delivery, was very good and everything, and the fans were into it and stuff like that. So it's always easy to nitpick at the end of it, which is what we do and we enjoy it. Why didn't Cena mention The Rock? Why didn't Cena mention Travis Scott? Why didn't Cena mention beating Cody down at Elimination Chamber?
Why didn't The Rock show up? Why didn't The Rock show up on the Titantron? Why was Travis Scott there in the first place to not be used again? I don't know. When you're asking, when you have this hot of an angle off of the biggest heel turn since Hogan did it and joined the NWO, and this is what you follow it up with? Like you said, it's a slow news week, 4 weeks going into WrestleMania. It felt like they were half pregnant with trying to further the storyline. Here's Cena, but not The Rock, not Travis Scott. Here's Cody. Cody's not that mad. He's going to wait till WrestleMania. What? Doesn't a babyface say, I don't care about WrestleMania. I want to fight you right here, right now?
The one thing about John Cena's motive is when he's saying, no, I'm not a bad guy, I'm not a good guy, I'm a human being, and I'm holding the fact that you booed me all those years ago against you. But it doesn't explain why he aligned himself with The Rock, or what The Rock is offering him, or what he's getting out of it in that sense. Do you know what I mean?
You want to go one step further?
Please.
The commentators never even asked that question to pass it along to the fans. Why did he turn? Why is he with The Rock? What is he looking for? Does he still want to, is he retiring? What's going on? You see what I mean? If the commentators asked these questions and then we got one answer per week, that would be something. But literally, it's like Rock shows up whenever he wants to, says whatever he wants to, gets whatever finish he wants to, and then leaves. He's the boss. He is the final boss. But for WrestleMania, dude, from Rumble to WrestleMania, shouldn't it be all hands on deck? Especially Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania, all hands on deck. I don't even think we have all the matches yet, do we?
No, but I think we've got all the major ones, pretty much. Apart from, I think there's a triple threat match where it's not been, like with Rhea Ripley and stuff, where it's not a triple match yet, but it will be.
Yeah, but that's predictable. And who's going to watch TV leading up to WrestleMania when you already know, okay, I think it's going to be Reigns, Punk, and Seth Rollins and another three-way. So now you're throwing top guys and girls in the three-ways. As far as, that means you don't have anything for them that stands out as special.
On that, but I never actually thought about it, that it was the fact that there's like no interesting news, or no, actually within the last week that's current on the shows or whatever, and that it's so close to WrestleMania. I don't know why I never even picked up on that, but that's pretty stunning. Quite frankly, there's nothing to, and same with AEW.
It should be the most amount and the hottest, most interesting news of the whole year between like I would say Rumble to WrestleMania, you got something happening, but especially in 4 weeks. At the time of this recording, we are 4 weeks away from WrestleMania, and there's no news.